I don't know if it's a hot take, but it's something that you won't expect. To me, Mikey Madison's character in Anora, and I just thought about this today when I was thinking back of Anora, it gave me like Juno vibes.
Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca and you're watching Loud Quiet Vids. This show is And the Oscar Goes To, and as I said, I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Steven.
And let's get right into it. The Oscars are coming up. Are we excited about it this year?
I guess, in a way. But I also don't know if it's as strong as some other years, but we'll get into that more specifically.
I sense some hesitation there.
Well, just, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there have been stronger years, but...
Yeah.
Of course, there were some movies that were very good to great, but then there were some movies that, I don't know, maybe I'm not too excited about.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, I kind of felt that way about The Brutalist for a while. I didn't watch it yet, and I just was not very excited about seeing it, because it just kind of seemed like it would be very slow-paced, and when I saw that it was almost 3 hours long, or like almost 4 hours long, I think.
3.5, yeah.
3.5. I said, I don't know, like, am I excited about this one? And then earlier today, I saw a shot from it, and I was like reawakened. I was like, that is the most beautiful image I've seen in a while. And it turns out the film was shot on 70mm film. And it just looks absolutely stunning. Like, I honestly wasn't even paying attention to the dialogue in that clip because I was just looking at the image on our new TV, which was kind of nice.
So film nerds will like it.
You calling me a nerd?
A film nerd. So that's like the cool kind of nerd. If there's an upper echelon of nerdiness, that's like the coolest kind of nerd you could be.
Okay. So that being said, with cinematography, that would be my prediction. So there are a lot of films, you know, nominated for cinematography. There's obviously The Brutalist. There's Dune Part 2, Emilia Pérez, which I think we're going to have a little bit to say about that film later on. Maria and Nosferatu, which actually I just want to mention Nosferatu, and I hope I'm saying it right. I know this is like a remake of a very popular horror film from 1922. That film won the Critics' Choice Awards for cinematography. So that, I guess that's notable.
Right. But yeah, I don't really have a prediction because, I don't know. I don't notice cinematography as much as many people do, but I think obviously The Brutalist and Dune Part 2 seem like the like obvious choices just by the way that they're filmed and the sort of atmosphere that they take place in, or not atmosphere, but setting they take place in. I don't really think there's anything that special about the cinematography in Emilia Pérez. So I don't, you know, it's nominated, but I don't really know if I thought anything was spectacular about it, but I could be wrong.
So earlier today, again, when I was like getting into my zone with this whole thing, I think noticed for the first time that Emilia Pérez is nominated for cinematography, and I said, why is it nominated for cinematography? And then I was like thinking to myself, like, what did I like about that movie? What were the strengths about that movie, if any? And I thought, like, probably the way it's shot.
All right, okay.
And I was like, okay, it was kind of cool. I don't think it's going to win, but...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't have much to say about cinematography, but I didn't, like, notice anything that, like, took my breath away in Emilia Pérez, so... Are we ready to move on to the screenplays?
Yes.
I like writing, so let's talk about the films that were written, and I guess we'll start with the adapted screenplays, because that's the order they're on the paper. So let's start about that. I want to talk a little bit about Emilia Pérez, because we've had this conversation before, and I think with adapted screenplay, this is a very interesting one because it's a musical, but a lot of people, including you, think that it would have been served better not as a musical. So, that being said, does that take away from your opinion on it as an adapted screenplay? Does that make you think less of it as an adapted screenplay because you felt like the music didn't really gel in with the story?
100%. I wouldn't have nominated it for adapted screenplay.
Right. So, I mean, the music didn't bother me when I was watching it, but that being said, I don't remember any of the songs afterwards, so I don't really know how much it added to the story. And I did feel like the story was a little bit predictable, and they kind of like just certain dialogue points made it kind of obvious about what was going to happen. And I think what could make a screenplay greater is when you kind of more subtly hint at what might happen, but I feel like the movie ending shouldn't be obvious to me watching it for the first time. And again, some of the dialogue was very cheesy or corny or even laughable at some points. Some of the songs, the lyrics in the songs.
Oh, yeah.
I think that, a lot of people are making fun of on Instagram and stuff. That being said, I don't think it was horrible. Like, I'm not gonna shit on it as much as everyone else has, but I just don't think it's like up to par on like an Oscar level type of thing, type of screenplay. Like, I don't think it's worthy of that sort of honor, especially not to win, but not, even the nomination process. That being said, I think I'll talk about what I think is the favorite to win this category, and a movie I wasn't very excited about, but a movie I actually think I enjoyed, which was Conclave. I think there's always a movie nominated in the Oscars that's about something with the Catholic Church, whether it be a scandal or just what's going on in, the Catholic Church at the time. It's happening in the Vatican with the Pope dying and them having to pick a new Pope. And I think that this film, more than like other films have done in the past that have dealt with the Catholic Church thing, did actually a good job of actually having me care about the characters by the way the dialogue was written. There's a lot of dialogue in this movie, and I think most of it, if not all of it, gets you into the story more than just like unnecessary dialogue that's not really needed. There's a lot of characters in the movie, and I feel like I got to know each of them by what they were saying and everything. So I do think Conclave is a favorite to win this category, and despite my hesitations going into it, I think that I'm okay with it winning that category after watching it and really feeling invested in these characters, the good ones, the bad ones, and that.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Conclave was another film that I was not excited to see. And I think we were watching it, and I remember like the first 20 minutes, I was like, how much longer is this? And I was like bored in the first 20 minutes. But then, it picked up, and the story was, I think, very well written. I'm not sure what it was adapted from, if it was a book before or what it was, but I thought it was a nicely told story. I really do, and it has a payoff.
Right.
So I would not be upset if that were the winner. I've seen some of Nickel Boys so far, and I know you have as well. We started it earlier today. By the way, we're married.
In case we were living in sin.
Well, that would be okay too, but yeah. So we're roommates. So we started Nickel Boys, and what I was seeing, I was liking, but
there's still more to go.
There's promise there. There's promise there.
Right. Okay, this is one of the categories that I feel like is least appreciated, original screenplay. So this is like people writing their own stories, which is very impressive.
You should join. There's a cool group that meets here called Tuesday Night Scribes. You would be a great fit.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I work late, but but I do, appreciate any form of writing, especially when you're writing scripts for movies that have to be, at least 90 minutes or 2 hours, or in some cases longer. So I appreciate every person who does this. And in this category, there are two standouts for me, and I'll talk more about Anora later because it's up for more awards, but what I really want to focus on for original screenplay is A Real Pain, written by Jesse Eisenberg, who people probably know from his acting roles in The Social Network and among other stuff. But A Real Pain is probably the shortest, at least one of the shortest, not short films obviously included, that you're going to be able to watch that's nominated for any sort of Oscars. I think it's just under 90 minutes, so it's not one of those ones where you have to worry about if you have enough time. If you have 90 minutes, you're set. And A Real Pain it's in the title, A Real Pain. It just feels very real to me. Like, I felt I was in that story. I was committed to the two main characters in that story. And I really felt that script really just told a beautiful story that's also very simple. There's a lot of movies in here that have a lot going on. This is a very, I think, simple story, but at the same time, there's a lot of complexity within the characters, and it's very hard to, I think, do that, to write, this movie that is about like a simple topic about two cousins going to Poland to see like their grandmother's ancestry and, what she went through when she was younger, and to view their like Jewish heritage going to concentration camps. So it's a very simple premise, but the way they evoke so much emotions for both of the main characters through the way they interact with each other and interact with the other secondary characters within it, I think is just a testament to the way it was written. And I know A Real Pain got you to cry at the end, so that's a big test. So, in terms of the screenplay, are you on the same page as me, or what do you think about it?
Hell yeah. I would love that. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I really loved A Real Pain, and I think it's one of the few categories that it maybe stands a chance, because the other one we'll get to later, but it was just such a beautiful film. And I just love films that are about people and about relationships and like the way life affects relationships. And then there was like a tie-in with mental health in this story as well. The character played by Kieran Culkin is just like so lovable, but so like complicated and conflicted as a person. It was like really it was really relatable, because I think we all have moments in our lives where we maybe feel the way his character was feeling in this. And when we've had moments where like we've met people that maybe we didn't fully understand, like we know we like them a lot, like this character is just like so vibrant and friendly and nice to everyone, but behind that joy is a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And that's just very real.
And I think we're going to be talking about Kieran Culkin in the next section. So I'll just give my thoughts on that in a little bit. But I also want to say another kind of, for me, in the opposite vein for original screenplay, The Substance obviously is a very original. It's very original.
I would be okay with that one winning too.
The thing for me for The Substance and original screenplay, I understand all the, there's a lot of social topics that I understand that it's tackling, and I understand kind of the message that it was trying to deliver, and I do appreciate that attempt at delivering that message. However, for me, I feel like there was just too much going on that it almost took away from that message for me. Like, there was a lot of extreme gore and extreme examples of the ways that females get treated in Hollywood or society in general. And a lot of times I feel like it was possibly too on the nose, like it was too direct, and then something very extreme would happen where it'd be like, whoa, now it's just like we're almost in sci-fi territory. So for me, while I appreciate the effort, and of course there's a lot of originality in it and it's an interesting concept, I just don't think that it delivered the message that it wanted to deliver as well as it could have.
So I'm glad you bring that up about the on the nose part of it, because I thought a lot of the dialogue was like very like on the nose. A lot of the sexist comments that were made. I find like a lot of times in real life, misogyny is more sneaky, especially in like recent years. I think misogynists have found ways of belittling women in ways that aren't like so direct, and that's why a lot of times it goes unnoticed. This was like very specific and intentional. So that like I definitely felt that a lot of it was on the nose, and I remember saying that to you while we were watching it, and I wasn't like loving that aspect of it because I thought it could have been a little smarter. But I really like the payoff with this film. Like I really love the turns that it's, even though I had to leave the room because it got way too gory, like I just get it. Like I get it. It's like, this is a weird ass film, but it shows you like this, like none of these beauty standards are realistic. The same way like this like wild shit that starts happening at the end is like so over the top. Like it kind of matches.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of it could be a matter of taste and stuff. Generally, I like things that are more like, they follow more of like a linear path. And if like a movie is, like I feel like the movie starts off very realistically and then just completely explodes into unrealistic stuff. But maybe that's the point that it's trying to say, that there's unrealistic beauty standards for women, you know, as they get older, just in general. And you know, as much as like this started out very normal and then became unrealistic, maybe that's the path it was going for. For me, it just wasn't as enjoyable as I feel like it could have been if it went more of like a subtle way to describing that thing. Before we move over to supporting actor, I do want to touch on Anora. We'll talk about Anora more in later categories, but I do think Anora is going to win this category, first of all. And second of all, I do think this is a really, really good screenplay. I think really from the moment the movie starts, and we'll talk about this more for actress and best picture, but from the moment the movie starts, you get this character. I feel like, at least I did. I totally was invested in this character. And you know, I think the screenplay, the way it starts is, again, it's the way it starts is not the way that I really expected it to go. It took another turn that, you know, I didn't really know that it was going to take that turn. It kind of was almost like watching not two different movies, but like two halves of a movie where it almost turns into like this wild goose chase kind of thing. And I think the way that the screenplay was able to go between this sort of drama with, you know, very serious topics about sex workers being exploited and stuff like that, and then also kind of hint in like these elements of comedy that you don't really expect from a film like that, was actually very enjoyable to watch. There was, you know, a lot of really intense moments, but even in those intense moments there were moments of like laugh out loud comedy, I think, which is an impressive thing and not always an easy thing to pull off in a sensitive way.
I enjoyed this movie a lot. I think it's still my favorite of the Best Picture nominees that we've seen. I know we're not talking about that yet. And I completely agree with you. We're still talking about screenplay, right? So it's the comedy I thought was really good. But I think a lot of that was because of the performances.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. As a screenplay, it's a really good screenplay. I definitely think it would be deserving if it did win.
So we talk about performances. Now let's move on to our first acting category, which is actor in a supporting role. We started talking about this. What else do you want to say about Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain?
Oh my gosh, Kieran Culkin! He really spoke to me in this movie. And I'm sorry, I forgot his character's name, but I don't know, like, I don't want to give away any spoilers or anything, but he was just so real to me. He just, like, I don't know why I cried.
You feel like you're about to cry right now, to be honest, thinking about it.
Like, he just evoked so much, I think, through his face and the camera staying on him. He didn't have to say it. I'm like, I got it.
So there's this thing that I'm very impressed with for actors to be able to do, and this is something that he did in this role, and it's to go from like 0 to what is it, 360? Mm-hmm. Zero to
0 to 100?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll say 0 to 100 in the same film in like seconds, and I feel like Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain, he, plays. There's two cousins, Jesse Eisenberg and him. Jesse Eisenberg is the one who, in society standards has become more successful. He's married with a job and everything, and Kieran Culkin kind of seems like he's never really completely grown up. But at the same time, he's very sociable. He's making friends with like everyone from every sector of the world, basically, when they're on this tour in Poland. So he's very, at first it just seems like he's very like, juvenile and jovial and very happy. He's making friends, he's making conversations with all these people. He's taking pictures with the statue that Jesse Eisenberg's character doesn't know if it's appropriate to take pictures with it, and he's just like enjoying himself. And then there's a scene in like the next few minutes where he completely loses it, saying like, this is a train that people took during the Holocaust. How could we be okay with sitting in first class eating these meals? And he completely like loses it. And so this is one of those roles where the character and the credit to the actor for being able to do that, from like being able to portray like a real person is able to portray one emotion to the other very quickly, and he does that in such a genuine way. It feels like that I think that's why he's the favorite to win this category, and that's why so many people fell in love with this performance. It's that he's a real person. People who seem very happy one second, and then the next second, a switch flips.
Exactly.
And you feel that in this performance.
Yeah. There's just so much I could say about this movie because it's such a writer's movie.
Right.
Yeah. Jesse Eisenberg really did a great job with this film, and I think this is an observation I made about his character. I think he's a highly sensitive person. Yeah. And I think that was why at times, and I'm talking about Kieran Culkin's character, obviously, I think that's why at times he's like having fun, like the vibes are fine, and let's take pictures with this statue even though it may not be appropriate. Oh, everyone's so cool. Oh, no way. Like he's like making friends with people that like you didn't think he would make friends with. And then he's like, this is inappropriate. Like we shouldn't be doing this and stuff. Like, how could you feel this way? Like he's so sensitive to specific things. That's something I could really relate to. That's why I completely like got him. And this is something that's not said. It's something that he evokes. He needs to win this award. He won the Golden Globe. He won the Critics' Choice Award. He needs to win the Oscar.
I think there's a very high probability he wins the Oscar. I don't need to really talk about I feel like I don't need to talk about the other people. No offense to them. Yura Borisov. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but
from Anora.
Yeah. I mean, he played his part well, and I'm sure everyone else did too. But I can't see anyone else winning this award, and I think people would be very disappointed if Kieran Culkin didn't walk away with it.
Right.
So
yeah. So for actress in a supporting role, I know Zoe Saldana won the Critics' Choice. I think she won the Golden Globe as well for Emilia Pérez. I don't know. Like I don't know about that. I wanted to go to Ariana Grande in Wicked.
So I feel like this is Zoe Saldana's award to win. Not that I thought that like it was a spectacular role. I do think she was probably the best part of the movie, I guess. It kind of surprised me that she wasn't a supporting role, because I feel like she was definitely in it more than the other actress.
That happens so much. They're nominated for supporting, but really the lead. So okay, I won't be mad if Zoe Saldana wins. Yeah.
Do I think that this is a knockout performance, as we just spoke about Kieran Culkin's, like we're so invested in him? No. But do I also think that you want Ariana Grande to win? Do I think that that was such a knockout performance that she has to win? No. She was good in the movie. She played her part. She played her part well. But do I think it's like, did I watch that movie and say, she has to win an Oscar for this? No, she was good in it. And I think, this is like her first time really being in a serious role where she could be considered for nominating for a Oscar nominee. So good on her for stepping up to the plate and being deserving of the nomination.
Yeah.
But do I think that she should take it for that? Not necessarily. Do I think that Zoe Saldana should? Not necessarily. Isabella Rossellini, who I know you love, is nominated for Conclave, and I mean, she was in a few scenes, and I thought, she did a good job with the time she was given. I just don't know if there was enough given for her to really take the award. I don't know if you agree with that. Or
they could have done more with her, and I wish they had.
But yeah, I mean, so again, good on her for getting the nominee. Do I think she should win it? No. So I want to talk about, and to be complete, we haven't seen the full movie of A Complete Unknown, but Monica Barbaro, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but we did see this scene where Timothée Chalamet's Bob Dylan is singing Blowing in the Wind, and she's there as the supporting actress, and I did, I didn't see the whole film, but I've started feeling connected to that character just from that one scene. Yeah. So I think maybe if I had to pick, that would be the person who I feel like might be most deserving. I would know for sure once I watched the full movie, but it definitely feels like she belongs in that time period. It felt like she belongs in that movie. So I think, not that I'm saying she's a dark horse to win it, because I do think Zoe Saldana will most likely win it. But from what I've seen of the film, I think she might be most deserving out of the nominees here.
So Ariana Grande really impressed me in Wicked. And from the moment she came on the screen, and I'm not just saying this, you're probably watching this like, oh, this girl is probably like a little Ariana Grande fangirl. That's not really the case. Like, I listen to her music, I like her music, but not really the case. I wasn't really like expecting much. I just really loved the story of Wicked. But when she came on the screen, I was like, wow, she's really invested. And of course she had this beautiful singing voice. Like, she adjusted her voice into this gorgeous operatic tone for the songs, especially that opening song that I love so much. But she just really like became Galinda. And I know she's on screen a lot. I know she's practically a lead, like a co-star with Cynthia Erivo. but she is the best friend character. Cynthia Erivo is really the protagonist as Elphaba, and Ariana Grande as Galinda is like the best friend who's there for her, and they support. What are you scowling at me?
I'm not scowling. I just, I don't know. I have opinions about Ariana Grande, but that's for another thing.
You scowled at me. She
stole the show for you.
She stole the show. Yeah, so she got this nomination for an acting category. I think she'd be deserving.
Okay. Again, I think she did a really good job. I wasn't blown away as you were. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Actor in a leading role. I think this is a two-man race between Adrien Brody for The Brutalist and Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. I did hear some controversy that they had to use like some sort of AI to help Adrien Brody with the Hungarian accent.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
I told you this before.
I probably forgot. I didn't remember what movie it was.
So, I don't know all the details, but, you know, whether or not that negatively impacts. He has won, like, I think, pretty much most awards for Best Actor that have happened so far for this. So it seems like he'll probably get it. I will say, though, that Timothée Chalamet, again, in the scenes that we have seen of A Complete Unknown, I think he really, you disagree, but I think he completely transformed into Bob Dylan. And I think it's also very hard because you have to, not only when people do these biographical films, a lot of times they just have to, you know, transform into the person and their voice and stuff, but he also had to transform his singing. He had to learn how to sing, and not only sing, but sing like him. And that's, you know, an extra layer of effort that it takes to transform. So for that reason, I would say that he deserves it based on the things that I know so far. I think, again, it's a two-horse race. I think Adrien Brody's, you know, probably like a neck ahead, and he'll probably win. But, you know, I think Timothée Chalamet, you know, it's very clear that this is a movie that he had to work really hard to prepare for, and it looks like it paid off from what I could see.
Yeah.
Well, you were laughing at Timothée Chalamet before we were watching the clip.
It's like a combination. So I look at him and I'm like, wow, he really looks the part. He really looks like Bob Dylan. And then I just look again and I'm like, oh, that's Timmy.
I feel like Timothée Chalamet has become a character unto himself.
Kind of like Dua Lipa.
Like
who I love, by the way.
Timothée Chalamet has become a character unto himself, so maybe for some people it's hard to see him as another person when he's portraying this in a movie. So maybe that's what's going on, because he's been in a lot of stuff recently, and you know they had that whole Timothée Chalamet lookalike contest, so he's really like then portrayed on SNL. So there's a lot that goes along with the aura of Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, there's a ton, yeah.
And out of everyone in this category, I feel like, you know, that's the name people will know, especially younger audiences.
Yeah.
So it's a hard one to decipher, but if you're just judging it by the performances, and again, I don't know the full story about the AI with the accent. I did hear that somewhere, which kind of triggered my alarm bells, but I'm not going to hold it too much against Adrien Brody. But, you know, I think this is the movie. I feel like A Complete Unknown is one of the movies that people have been talking about for, you know, over a year now, about Timothée Chalamet playing this part. And it feels like, you know, if you have that much pressure on you to take on this American icon, and basically everyone is saying you did the part justice and that sort of thing, in a society where everyone's on kind of ready to pounce on you if you didn't do it justice, then it's clear that you put in the work to, achieve to your best ability that character or that person.
You want to see Timmy win?
Yeah, I want to see Timmy win.
Wow, I'm surprised to hear that. I wasn't expecting you to say that.
I do think Ralph Fiennes in Conclave was also very good. There's a lot of characters in that film, so it's hard to get like, it's easy to get lost in the and all of that. But he did do a very good job. I think he's worthy of the nomination, but maybe not necessarily the win. So yeah, I want Timmy to win. I would like Timmy to win.
I will say I think Adrien Brody's the favorite to win here.
He's a little bit more than a slight favorite, I think.
I know he won the Critics' Choice. I think he won the Globe. The SAG Awards are actually on the night that we're filming this, unfortunately, so we're not going to know until after that, because I think that would have been a dead giveaway. I think that's going to be a dead giveaway for the acting categories in a lot of ways. So I do want to say, I know there was a lot of talk about the film Sing Sing, which I have not seen yet. The actor from Sing Sing is nominated for actor in a leading role. This film was not nominated for Best Picture, and I think some people wanted it to be. So Coleman Domingo is the lead in that film. I haven't seen it, but I don't want to rule him out, being that this is a film that I know a lot of people liked, and I think it's the only or a few categories that is nominated. No,
it's nominated for adapted screenplay as well.
Which I probably won't win that one, so you never know. That could be a spoiler.
So you're saying he might be...
I don't know if I would call it a spoiler, but
dark horse?
Just, maybe an unexpected win if everyone's expecting Adrien Brody. I
mean, there are times where two front runners, like if you remember, Lady Gaga and Glenn Close were like two front runners for Best Actress, and then I forget her name. A British actress ended up winning the award for The Favorite, who played like the Queen in The Favorite. So it's possible you get something like that.
Yeah, I know Laura, our technical director today, saw Sing Sing, and I think she liked it. So
I thought it was fantastic.
God, it's you.
Yes, it is. Hello.
Hi.
Sing, I think it should be considered.
Would you say that Coleman Domingo would be deserving of the award?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
you heard it there. You heard it from God herself. So.
Domingo.
Domingo.
So SNL humor. So yeah, maybe we're in for a surprise. I guess we'll see. Here's one of the categories that always is. It feels like this is always one of the strongest categories to me: actress in a leading role.
Oh yes.
I always feel like this is the strongest or one of the strongest categories, and I would say in this this year it's similar. And I think for me, I think it's a two-woman race at this point between Mikey Madison and Demi Moore. I know Demi Moore won the Golden Globe. Mikey Madison, I think, won the BAFTA or one of those recent awards. One of the recent award shows she won.
Okay.
Anyway, do you want to give your thoughts? Because I have a strong opinion on this.
Okay, so I will say, I think these women are wonderful performers. You're so right. This is like always the strongest category. I haven't seen I'm Still Here yet, and I keep telling people like I really want to see this film, and I'm so bummed I haven't gotten around to seeing it yet because Fernanda Torres, in the trailer clips I've seen alone, just are enough to like tell me this is going to be a wonderful performance. I know I'm Still Here is like very beloved in Brazil. It's a Brazilian feature film, and I know a lot of people are rooting for her and this film. So I would not root her out. Mikey Madison in Anora was wonderful as well. She like had this like weird way of bringing comedy into it, but it's like a serious role. But like she played this character in such a way that just like added so many layers to her, which I really enjoyed. So I wouldn't rule her out. Carla Sofia is
You
a
could
tough
rule. You could rule her
one.
out. Okay.
So I thought she was good up until the recent controversy. I did not love that film, and I know, and I have to say this from someone who's obviously, I am a white person. I'm not Latina, so I can't say like. I didn't know about a lot of things until after the fact, when there's a lot of backlash about the way this film was portrayed. I didn't know that the director was white and didn't do any research. That's very concerning. So I think we can rule her out for a lot of reasons.
I think it's a shame because she's the first trans person,
really
the first trans person to be nominated in a category like this, and then to find out that she is so troublesome in other ways, I think is a disappointment. I don't think she was going to win either way, but now I think there's not even a glimmer of a chance.
I hope that this year there's another good film with a transgender performer in it, and they get the nomination for next year, because, come on, this should be like a given. Why not a few films like that?
So
we need representation. It's very important.
Cynthia Erivo is an interesting one.
Yeah, I was gonna get to her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's an interesting one because I think, if I'm not mistaken, she could get the EGOT with this if she wins, right?
I believe so.
I believe she could get the EGOT, and she was really good in Wicked. However, I don't think she's deserving of winning this award. I don't know if you disagree with me or not. So.
You probably disagree with me on this, but I think Cynthia is a bit stronger than maybe Mikey Madison.
I'll get to Mikey.
And obviously Carla. But I think it's going to Demi Moore. So let me get back to Cynthia. I don't want to stump Cynthia because she did a really good job. It's just like he said, this is always such a hard category, and there's always so many great performers, and this year is no shortage of that. I would be very happy for Cynthia if she won this award, and I think she would be deserving. I don't think this is like a tier list for me, really. It's almost a matter of taste at this point. But I think it's going to Demi Moore, and I felt that very strongly when I saw The Substance, and it came to that like final shot of the film, which I don't want to give away. Like, this is just so wild and crazy. She owned this shit. Like, she owned it.
Here's the thing. I think Demi Moore probably is a slight favorite over Mikey Madison at this point. I know this is an argument people talk about all the time about if it's actress in a leading role, supporting role. I just don't think she was in it enough for me to give her actress in a leading role. I mean, the whole thing of this film is that it's transforming between, like, it's her, so it's her, the character, who she is the person that she transformed into, but then Margaret Qualley is that person for at least half, if not more, of the film. And so, not that Demi Moore did a bad job, she did a good job with what she was given and what she was in. But for actress in a leading role, maybe supporting role, I could see, and I don't know how they determine what's supporting, what's leading, but I just don't think she was in enough scenes. I don't think she had enough airtime. She didn't have enough moments.
Oh, I so disagree with you.
To win the award. And for me, Mikey Madison was this film. She is the definition of a lead that knocks it out of the park. To me, her and we talked about Kieran Culkin before, but her and Kieran Culkin were the performances of the year. Those are the performances I'm going to remember in a few years when we talk about Oscars in the past, and we talk about what movies we like the best in the past, and we talk about great performances that we've seen in the past. We could talk about Jennifer Lawrence in Silver Linings Playbook. We talk about Brie Larson in Room. We talk about
I always think of Viola Davis.
Saoirse Ronan and Lady Bird. You could talk about Viola Davis and Fences.
With the snot bubble.
Yeah.
Like, that's commitment right there.
Like
when
those
you got the snot
performances.
bubble.
But here's my hot, I don't know if it's a hot take, but something that you won't expect. To me, Mikey Madison's character in Anora, and I just thought about this today when I was thinking back of Anora, it gave me like Juno vibes. which sounds crazy because Juno's a movie about a pregnant teenager and Anora's about a sex worker. But hear me out, because Juno, similar to Juno and Anora's characters, are both at face value. They're very, in different ways, they're both very loud and outspoken and gritty to the point where you think nothing could break them. Like,
That's the truth.
on the outside, like when you see like Juno, like she's going through this obviously very emotional and difficult thing, being pregnant when you're 16 years old, and then deciding that you're gonna give your child away, and dealing with all these huge adult stuff that you shouldn't be dealing with when you're 16. But on the outside, she's just always joking, or always just being tough and standing with it. And in the same way, Anora is going through life as a sex worker and eventually finding herself in like strange and dangerous situations. And again, on the outside, there are people coming in and like trying to tie her up, and she's screaming and she is, making these off-color jokes, or like still trying to like talk back to these, huge men who she has no idea who the heck they come from. But then, just like Juno, there's a scene in Juno where, throughout the whole movie, she's all jokes or all toughness. There's a moment where she finally breaks down and pulls the minivan over to the side of the road and starts crying from everything she's been dealing with throughout the whole length of the movie. And similar with Anora, and this happens at the very, very end of the film, but similar to Anora, she's outspoken and just, is just like personifies just strength and parts of comedy, and these moments of like just anger and defiance.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of the film, she breaks down and starts crying. So I feel like this character, for me, I was thinking about it today, and it gives me like that Juno trajectory of like, you are this character for this whole film, and then you just can't take it anymore, and you break down. So I feel like she took me on that full journey on the film.
Okay. Juno in 2025, people.
So you could, and Juno's, I think, one of the best movies of all time.
I love
so
that
any comparison that I'm making to Juno is a good one.
Yeah, I know that.
So to Mikey Madison, who I have no idea what she's from before this, to me, I feel like she's deserving of the award. That's who I would give it to.
So you really made a really good point there. You really jogged my memory with all of that.
Does that change your opinion at all?
It doesn't change my opinion, because this is just such a strong category, but I mean, I wouldn't be mad if she won. I really wouldn't. And I really like felt for her character. Like they really, like nobody was on her side really, except for herself, right? I mean, well, the guy, I guess. I mean, the guy
sort
at the
of.
end.
Yeah, sort of. But largely.
That was nice to see, by the way. Someone was actually being kind to her for a change.
Largely, she's on her own. I mean, she has friends or whatever, but largely through this like adventure that she goes on, she's largely fighting for herself. I think her and Kieran Culkin, like I said, were the strongest performances of the year for me. But anyway, we got two more categories. Yeah. Move over to director.
So the big question we always ask with director is, are they going to split the awards for director and best picture? Sometimes they match, sometimes they don't.
Right. So for this year, I'm not going to spoil who I think will win best picture, but I do think for director, I think it's a two-man race between Sean Baker and Bradley Corbett, so Anora and The Brutalist. I think Sean Baker, I saw one other of his films, and so have you.
Yeah. The
Florida Project, which was an amazing film.
Movie, yeah.
I think it got snubbed the year it was
What a beautiful movie, yeah.
But listen,
sad movie, but beautiful.
Yeah, but listen, Sean Baker, I think, obviously we talk about all the things we loved about Anora. That has to go, a lot of credit of that has to go to the director for the way that he, guided these actors to portray their characters. I think, other than Anora, who's obviously the main focal point, there are other like minor characters who are there for like comic relief, and then there are other characters who are just kind of like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Who the F is this guy? So there's like a bunch of characters that, evoke a lot of anger, that bring comic relief, that bring, drama to the movie. So I think, he'd be deserving of the best director for this. I think, again, we talk about the controversy with Emilia Pérez. I think for a while that was a top contender for a lot of awards, and obviously it's nominated for a lot of awards, but obviously the director not doing his research about very sensitive topics kind of almost takes him out of the running to win this award, it seems.
Yeah, that would be that would make the Oscars a real joke this year if that happened.
So
For him to be nominated is kind of funny in and of itself.
Coralie Fargeat for The Substance. Again, I think for The Substance and A Complete Unknown, they're kind of in there to fill the 5-person thing, it seems. So I think it's down to Sean Baker and Bradley Corbett. And I think Anora might have the momentum at this point to take it.
I agree with you. I think it's between those two. I'm kind of feeling Sean Baker for Anora. That's where it's going to be. And we're going to be talking about Best Picture next. I always feel like these two categories kind of connect a little bit. If I had to predict at this point in time, I would say Sean Baker, director.
Mm-hmm. So we'll move on to the last category, which is Best Picture. So, does the director match the Best Picture this year? If you pick Sean Baker, that would mean you pick Anora for Best Picture.
So Anora won the Critics' Choice, and I think it stands a chance. It's like really tricky. I'm not like overly confident about this, but I really don't know like where my prediction, like my true prediction lies at this point.
So what do you want? What do you want to win?
What do I want to win? So out of the films I have seen, I would want Anora to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be
I want to bring this up because a lot of people will be surprised that you did not say Wicked as a huge fan of the musical.
Okay, and I have a reason for that.
So just explain your reasoning for not saying Wicked. Since it is a movie that you thoroughly enjoyed and you really had no criticisms of it.
Okay, splitting it in two parts is a money grab. Like, I understand at the end of the day, it's all about making money at the box office. They know if they split the story into two parts, that everyone will come back next year, or this year now, at this point in time, the very end of the year, and watch part 2, and they're going to make so much more money off of it because it was a big box office success the first time. But it doesn't need to be that long. It doesn't need to be two parts. If it were a super long movie, like you want to give me a 5-hour Wicked extravaganza all at once, like yeah, I'll sit through that. But to split it in two parts as a viewer, for me, who loves this story, it felt like a cheap shot to sit there and watch, one of the best songs in the film, and then just leave us hanging like that. It's like, come on, where's the rest of the story? It's half a story. It's not even like films that generally will have like a part 1 and part 2, because usually they're their own complete story, and then we have part 2 is its own complete story. This just felt like you take a screenplay and you like move it to the middle, and then you just like rip it apart, and you're like, here's part 1, and then you're not gonna get part 2 until next year, and you just throw it.
So what you got from that is that, well, I agree it's a money grab, but also Rebecca's just impatient. She wants to see the rest of the movie now. We haven't talked a lot about Wicked. Obviously, I think if there's a movie from this year that someone sits you down and said you have to watch a movie right now, what movie is it going to be? I think probably for both of us it would be Wicked, just because it's so entertaining. There's so many fun songs and fun moments in this movie. It's visually enticing. There's a lot to love about it, and
it's so good.
It's really a great movie, and a really fun movie to sit through. I think it's very rare that these movies that everyone, like audiences, I mean, particularly like love, ends up winning the top award. So I don't think Wicked will win the Best Picture. And I think at this point, I think Emilia Pérez, before all the controversy, was a big favorite to win this award. And I think along with the controversy with the main actress and the director, there's also just a huge amount of hatred from this film among audiences. If you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, you could see it has a 72% critic score and then a 17% audience score, which is by far, I think, out of anything nominated for any Oscars this year, the worst.
Yeah.
So I think there's
you
also...
can't be tone deaf nowadays, and you shouldn't be.
Yeah. So there's the controversy that already surrounds it, along with the hate by most audiences about it. So I don't... At this point, it was a favorite, but I think at this point, it doesn't really stand a chance to win.
Yeah.
I think, people would just, be fearful of what people would say or what would happen if they gave this film the Best Picture after everything that
they'll be held to pay.
Has gone on over the past few months.
Someone might get slapped again.
So I think this comes down to 3 films that I think could win. I think those films are Anora, The Brutalist, and Conclave.
Really? Conclave?
So I think Conclave recently won a BAFTA for Best Feature Film.
Okay.
So I think, it has some award success, and it's a type of Oscar-y movie.
It is.
With a lot of big scenes and a lot of characters and whatever. I think it was
Oscar bait.
A good movie, and it was good. The Brutalist obviously has also won some awards. It's some people would say it's it's 3.5 hour long, so some people, depending on who you ask, will say, oh, it's a 3.5 hour masterclass or whatever, and we haven't seen it yet, but obviously I think it's up there. But I think for me, and maybe I'm just being hopeful, but I think that Anora is a film that is beloved by both critics and audiences, and I feel like it's more of a movie for the times, if that makes sense. Conclave, obviously, it's a drama about picking a new pope. The Brutalist is kind of a post-World War II film about a Holocaust survivor coming to America. And Anora is about a sex worker who, and kind of the, there's, ways that the sex worker, that shows how the sex workers are treated, and shows, how her character feels like she finally caught a break and her life is finally going a certain way, and then all the misadventures that come with that. And I just think Anora is just, for the times we're living in, it's more of a 2024 to 2025 Best Picture award-winning film. It feels like that more so than The Brutalist and Conclave. Kind of feels like, if we were in the 90s and this wasn't as big of a topic and as big as a concern for some people as it is today, then maybe those two would be the favorite. But I think, we're living in sensitive times for females in general, but especially sex workers. So this to me is a film for the times. It encapsulates kind of the society we're living in a way. So for me, I would say, Anora and A Real Pain along with Wicked, were my favorite movies of the year. And I think in terms of Best Picture, we're talking about, you know, what encapsulates the year of film and the year in general. And for me, Anora has a lot more to say about society and today in general than the other big contenders for Best Picture.
Yeah.
So I think that it's possible that that might be enough to push it over the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah, I want it to go to Anora because I've seen it and it was the strongest of the 5.5 that I've seen because I didn't finish Nickel Boys. I do want to say, though, I don't think we should rule out I'm Still Here, which, again, I'm very upset that I have not seen yet. This film, look at the score. Look at the critics' score. Look at the audience score. People in Brazil are really rallying behind it. This is a story that takes place in 1970s Brazil. It's a foreign feature, and it's about a man who goes missing. I think gets kidnapped, and he has supposedly ties to communism, or they think he's a communist because there's a time of dictatorship in their country, and we don't know what happened to him, and it takes place from the perspective of his wife and family. And I don't know, everything about it just sounds so interesting to me, and I think it has a chance. I can't see nothing going to this film. Maybe, I know we didn't talk about foreign feature, it might go to them.
Well, I do think...
Or they call it international feature film now.
I do think maybe with the backlash that Emilia Pérez is getting, it's possible that I'm Still Here will kind of catch that by the tail and just take that away from it too. In terms of Best Picture,
yeah,
you know, I'm not sure if I think it stands a chance. I do think this is more of a wide open race than it usually is.
I think it needs to get something, it needs to get something is my feeling. It needs to get something big. It needs to have its moment. Or 2.
Well, that's what you hope.
Or 3.
That's what you hope. But that doesn't necessarily always happen. What you hope is not always exactly what happens, but...
Okay.
But we'll see,
okay.
Obviously. No, I'm just saying, like, there are times when you love a movie and it doesn't win any awards.
Okay.
I think, like, Lady Bird didn't win any awards did it when it was nominated. Why are you getting mad at me? I don't pick the awards.
You're throwing shade at me.
I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying, like, I feel like you're just I feel like you're saying you want it to win, not necessarily that it will.
No, I have a feeling that it has a shot, and it may not be like a very predictable outcome, but it could happen.
Sure.
Fernando Torres won the Golden Globe. I feel like a broken record.
You're Fernando Torres' biggest fan that has not seen any Fernando Torres movie?
You know when you meet someone and you're like, I gotta know this person? It's like that.
All right. So I'm picking Anora. You don't know what you think.
No, Anora. I pick Anora out of the films. I have 5.5 films
But
I've seen.
I'm saying you think Anora will win, or you don't know.
I honestly don't know. I really don't know. For real, like, I don't know. Do I ever know? Do we ever know?
No, we
Any
never
of us
know.
ever know?
I'm just like, asking what your opinion is. What's your gut?
Like, my gut is The Brutalist, honestly. But it's gonna go there, but
That's
I don't
boring.
know.
Okay. So those are all the categories we're going over today.
So, thank you everybody for watching. If you have any comments and you're watching this on our YouTube channel, feel free to leave them down below. Or if you're watching us on TV, thank you for watching anyway. Feel free to follow us on, subscribe to us on YouTube, Loud Quiet Vids. And I will see you next time.